Coming up on this edition of UMTV News, we have a special presentation about the various ways the University of Miami is impacting South Florida.
Also, we have exclusive interviews with medical doctors who teach at the university and their students who tell us about their initiatives to help the homeless community.
Plus, we will tell how one prominent UM program is providing patients not only with pain relief, but also enjoyment.
And we will introduce you to one South Florida woman whose life got forever changed because one UMiami Law School initiative. These stories and a lot more on this special edition of UMTV News.
Good afternoon. I'm Andrew Klein.
And I'm Maria Regina Mendoza. Thank you for joining us for today's special presentation of the University of Miami's impact on the community and beyond. The University of Miami was founded in 1925 at a time when South Florida was booming. In the early years, a major hurricane and economic depression pushed the university to its limits. But since then, the University of Miami has grown to become one of the top universities in the world. And as it nears its centennial celebration, Ryan Marshall has a story on the history of the U.
Miami, Vice City, the 305. The Magic City has many nicknames and is one of the world's most popular tourist destinations. But tucked inside of the suburbs of Coral Gables is the University of Miami, or the U as it is often called.
It was never meant to be a university in Miami, but the University of Miami.
The University of Miami was founded in 1925 alongside the founding of Coral Gables by George E. Merrick. The real estate developer granted 160 acres and nearly $5 million to found the university. But in 1926, as UM welcomed its first class of 372 students, a Category 4 hurricane devastated the greater Miami area. And the damage from the storm forced the university to operate out of the Anastasia Hotel, giving the school a new nickname.
That's a period that's been called the Cardboard University because it had very precarious physical facilities in what was meant to be a hotel, and cardboard was used to make the necessary partition.
And the university's bad fortune didn't end there. Just 3 years later came the stock market crash of 1929. UM and its first president, Bowman Ash, were forced to declare bankruptcy in order to survive. But following the end of World War II, the University of Miami's attendance began to rise.
And many of those at the end of the war in 1945 had seen Miami, the beauty of Miami, and decided to come back to the university to study here. And it's thanks to the GI Bill that the university finally has the cash flow to start building out the campus.
Over the next 30 years, the university experienced major growth. Under Miami's second president, J.F.W. Pearson, total enrollment increased from 10,000 to 14,000. The university also experienced major social change in 1961. The Board of Trustees voted to admit all students without regard to race or skin color. And Pearson was succeeded by President Henry King Stanford, who focused on expanding campus and increasing research at the U.
And while the university grew significantly in the mid-20th century, it wasn't until 1981, when Edward T. Foote took over the presidency, that the University of Miami saw its biggest change yet, a change of reputation.
This university had dual reputations, and one of them was Suntan U, a party school. And that's what a lot of people thought, and there was some truth to it.
But President Foote wanted to transform the university's image and place the University of Miami among an elite group of private research universities.
He decides to turn the increasingly better educational university into a research university. That meant sacrificing short-term some revenue from tuition because it meant reducing the income, the size of incoming classes, becoming selective on admissions.
The phrase that was used a lot was, "We want to become the Harvard of the South."
Under Foote's leadership, Miami added 3 schools to the university to give UM its current total of 12. In Miami athletics, particularly football and baseball, thrived during the 80s and 90s, bringing even more attention to the U. And the university transitioned into the 21st century on a high note. Under Miami's leadership of former President Donna Shalala and current President Julio Frank, UM has gained a prestigious membership as one of the 69 schools in the Association of American Universities. And as the University of Miami heads towards its centennial celebration in 2025, the future looks bright.
We now have a thriving university, healthy financially, sustainable, building a culture of belonging, recognized among one of the top 3% of research universities in the country, ready to continue to ascend as it enters its second century.
Ryan Marshall, UMTV.
A new, potentially life-changing opportunity has been created at the University of Miami with the goal to fix one specific need in South Florida. The lack of construction workers in the area is impacting the community, so faculty members at UM have created the university's first apprenticeship program. The hope is to teach students all about construction surveys, building codes, how to apply math, and much more to fulfill this need.
Hopefully, in the not too distant future, when we go to a job site and 40, 50 stories are being built, we see more and more University of Miami stickers on those hard hats and let everyone know, where the talent is really coming from.
The program partners with Miami-Dade College and industry organizations to combine real-world job experience with classroom learning. With changing needs in the community, there is less emphasis on the typical four-year degree and more placed on trade work.
The invention of 3D printer has been one of the most revolutionary advances of modern technology, and one large-scale 3D printing company called Cobot is proving that groundbreaking technology can help those in need. Sonny Carton joins us now with more.
Cobot is based on campus here in Miami, and I spoke to several employees, including co-founder Philip Lund-Nielsen, who told me that 3D printing will be the future of construction. 3D printing is defined as the action or process of making a physical object from a three-dimensional digital model, typically done by laying down many thin layers of material in succession. While most applications are used to make smaller prototypes and parts, as 3D printing technology has advanced, companies like Cobot have begun reinventing what 3D printing can be used for. Cobot is a Danish company co-founded by Henrik Lund-Nielsen and nephew Philip Lund-Nielsen, with the goal of transforming the way that the construction industry operates.
Construction is the world's largest sector, but it hasn't changed in the past 100, 200 years. We're still placing concrete blocks. We're still by hand. We're still framing timber buildings by hand. This technology allows us to reduce costs, to increase speed, and to make it more sustainable.
Many people in the construction industry fear that introducing 3D printing will eliminate jobs. Cobot head of projects and implementation, Sofia Lopez Manzano, says that this is a misconception.
You do need people. People is always needed. People is what makes the world great, right? So you need people with a lot of ideas, with a lot of hunger to learn and make a difference in the world.
So what brought them here to Miami? Philip says that Miami is a uniquely located city that has many problems of which Cobot is trying to help solve.
UM is a hemispheric leader between North and Latin America. Could 3D printing be utilized to reduce the construction cost of housing and thus reduce, in the end, rents, etc.? The other issue, which is perhaps even more interesting, is addressing rising oceans due to global warming. So can we, for instance, 3D print coastal barriers to protect against incoming waves?
While Cobot was founded in Denmark, their efforts to spread globally and help local communities relies on partnerships with companies and organizations on the ground like University of Miami that can give them a home to operate their machinery. Eric Sullivan, printer specialist and trainer, says that University of Miami students are necessary for the future of the 3D printing construction industry.
You could be just like me, you could be a trainer and an installer where you'd be putting up the machines, running them and printing houses for people. You could be a material specialist like my colleague Luisa, who makes the printer actually have the material, not just dance around, and makes the magic happen. You could be an architect. I have no doubt that almost any college profession in the school could probably get involved in this if they're passionate about it and they really want to do it.
In the past 5 years, Cobot has made headlines for combating the housing shortage in Angola and other countries in Africa by providing affordable and high-quality housing solutions that can be built significantly faster than other methods. In regards to their efforts here in the U.S., University of Miami Dean of Architecture Rodolphe Alhori spoke about what he hopes UM's partnership with the company can accomplish.
This is exciting, especially for a university, community, because we have an opportunity to innovate and push the the technology to the next level with with students and faculty, but also we do think that this may contribute improvements to the way we build and how we approach resilience in Miami.
Cobot still has a long way to go before they are officially considered a prominent construction option in the U.S. $1.8 trillion industry. However, through partnerships with organizations like the University of Miami, Cobot is continuing to get closer to accomplishing its mission of making construction more efficient and better for the environment. And it's partnerships like these that show how essential the University of Miami is in helping to make the community of Miami a better place to live in. And through this continued relationship, Cobot hopes to tackle many of the problems we see in construction today and many that will come in the future. For UMTV, I'm Sonny Carton.
Thank you, Sonny. Did you know that at the University of Miami, a tutoring service has been available to students at no cost since the 1980s? Designed to aid academic success, it offers tailored support, guidance, encouragement, and a sense of belonging as students work towards achieving their academic goals. When coursework becomes overwhelming and stress starts to build up, where do students turn? Inside this building is the Kamner Center for Academic Resources, a place where students can find help to improve in their classes.
It's hard coming into the university, having all these classes, and you're just kind of stressed. You don't really maybe mesh with the professor. You're having a hard time.
Mirabен says she thinks coming to the Kamner Center and working with other students just helps build confidence and give them a sense of relief they leave the office feeling they can pass their classes. Although the Kamner Center primarily assists students with math and chemistry, its tutors extend their support to all subjects. She says no student is left behind.
One organization at the University of Miami Law School is making an impact through advocacy and support to help those in our community who need it most. Isabella Morales has more on the story.
Hope. One word, 4 letters. For so many, this word shares the anticipations of desire and aspiration. For one South Florida woman, hope meant the chance of a new life.
Me sentía súper bien porque ellos te animan y te sacan adelante para seguir viendo que ahí no termina, no se queda todo, sino que hay que mirar más al fondo.
Founded in 1988, Hope, helping others through pro bono efforts, is based at the University of Miami School of Law with a mission to create opportunities for law students to provide legal services and support those in need.
There are ways in which law students can connect and make a difference. So Hope is about making that easy for all of our students so that we can be connected to our community.
In 2002, Alejandra was a victim of human trafficking, but it wasn't until 2010 that Hope was able to get her justice.
Para mí no ha sido fácil cuando viví con esas señoras. De verdad que ha sido muy duro, ha sido mucha humillación, mucho abuso, porque no te daban de comer, sino lo que de ellos quedaba, esa era tu comida. No había desayuno. Fue muy difícil y que a veces me acuerdo, pero lo supero.
But for Alejandra, there was a light at the end of the tunnel when she met second-year law student Fernando through Hope, and he helped her with her human trafficking and wage theft issue.
These individuals who are marginalized, are making below the poverty guidelines, can't afford that attorney, can't afford that service. The Hope office tries to bridge some of that. What I'm doing now with my career, I'm trying to bridge that too.
Just like Fernando, many UMiami Law School students have had the opportunity to interact with individuals in need of someone with legal knowledge to help them.
To improve our society at large, we should embed within the fabric of it a greater desire, need, and investment in public service work. I think we'll be a more connected society, and I want to do my part alongside the other folks in Hope who share that common interest.
Through Hope, students interested in public interest work explore different areas of practice, broaden their understanding of the need for access to justice, and continue efforts by the University of Miami to make impacts not just in the community, but beyond.
We want each student to have an appreciation for the power and privilege of legal education and to have had opportunities during law school to experiment with and acquire the skills to give back. So we set up pro bono projects in an array of areas to make sure that it taps into different interests.
From assisting immigration attorneys with families seeking asylum to helping individuals with a previous criminal background have their voting rights restored, UM law students are at the forefront of doing their part to fight injustices. Due to the regulations of the Florida Bar, law students are not allowed to directly provide services to clients, but with the Hope Resource Center, it allows students to work with attorneys on cases and initiatives to help people in need.
And pro bono work really allows you to get a feel for direct services and what it's like working directly with the people impacted. Also, you get to sort of grow your skills as a future attorney. You get to speak one-on-one with clients. You get to speak with practicing attorneys, learn their skills, learn what life is like in the day-to-day of being a lawyer and advocating for the interests of your client.
25 years later, and still under the direction of Dean Lennon, Hope is still at the front lines of guiding law school students and supporting members of the South Florida community.
I guarantee that you're going to be fulfilled, because I think that's the way of being fulfilled is how can you be of service to someone else? How can you help someone else obtain something more? It'll make you feel great if not anything else.
Isabella Morales, UMTV.
Coming up on this special edition of UMTV News, we will introduce you to one UM professor who helps the homeless with their medical needs. Stay with us.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
No way.
No way. No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org.
University of Miami medical professor Armin Henderson started an organization as a way to help the homeless and underprivileged communities in Miami. Despite being arrested for his efforts during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, he continues his work to remind people that help is always available. Michael Muela met with him and joins us in studio to tell us more. Michael?
Thanks, Maria Regina. In 2017, Dr. Armin Henderson started Dade County Street Response as a way to give back to his community by caring for those who cannot do it themselves. Dr. Armin Henderson is known to the Miami community as the People's Doctor. This is because whenever he's not here teaching at the University of Miami School of Medicine, he's here at the Freedom Lab in Liberty City, a free clinic for homeless people in Miami.
He's just so passionate about everything that he does, and he really puts his all into it, whether it's the street runs, whether it's the clinics, whether it's mentoring students. He also works full-time as a physician at UM, so he is very committed, very dedicated, very passionate.
In 2017, Armin Henderson started an organization known as Dade County Street Response. It's a program that brings medical care to those who can't afford it.
We consider ourselves, if I had to put it in words, doctors within borders who work in hospitals without walls. We connect directly to individuals in the streets, in their homes, or personally at any of our locations, at our foot clinic or at the urgent care.
Every Saturday, Dr. Henderson and members of his team go out on the streets to care for those less fortunate. According to a 2024 U.S. News report, there are over 3,600 homeless people living in Miami, suffering from malnutrition, substance use problems, and wounds and skin infections. The team helps the homeless by supplying water and snacks, bandages, and other medical equipment. Since 2020, Miami's homeless population has risen by 3% and accounts for an 8.1% rate of homelessness in the city per 1,000 people, leaving 14% of Florida's overall population without a place to live. But Dr. Henderson and his students remain very passionate about helping reduce that number any and every way they can.
We're constantly improving our practices and expanding our services, and Dr. Henderson plays a key role in that, in both the quality assurance of what we do, but also the hands-on approach of coming here, meeting patients where they're at, and we're always refining our practices and trying to ask ourselves, how can we do better? How can we help these patients more?
Since starting Dade County Street Response, Dr. Henderson has helped over hundreds of people in the community, and he has no plans of stopping.
I want to see an expansion of services for individuals that are unsheltered or who live in low wealth neighborhoods. And so that's what we're advocating for access to those things through our programming, through talking with, through our patients, and connecting with the organizations, the community organizations and organizers we work with in the community as well.
And Dr. Henderson is also the medical director for Miami Street Medicine, which is a nonprofit founded by UM alum Dr. Dan Bergholz. He founded Miami Street Medicine in 2018 with the goal to provide health care to the unsheltered community of Miami. The organization partners with the University of Miami Medical School, allowing students to get hands-on medical experience under the guidance of trained doctors. Every Saturday, they meet at Jackson Memorial Hospital and spend the morning providing hygiene kits, treating what they can, and making sure people get long-lasting care.
Rather than trying to recreate primary care out on the street, we try and get people into a good primary care relationship with primary care doctors and a brick and mortar clinic because that feels a lot more equitable.
If you want to help, you can donate to Miami Street Medicine, but they actually say the best course of action is to advocate for change in legislation and fight for more opportunities for the unsheltered community. I'm Michael Muela for UMTV. Guys?
Thank you, Michael. The University of Miami has welcomed a new Disabilities Ambassador program. The goal of the program is to create a more inclusive campus. Maddie Mikan explains.
The University of Miami has many campus clubs. One club fosters friendships and raises awareness for students with special needs on campus.
The Disability Ambassadors Group started maybe 3 years ago as a concept around building community among our students with disabilities and listening to what they had to say.
What we have really contributed is a lot of conversation around campus, especially with disability, because prior to us, there was DEI council and all that, but there wasn't really a group focused on disability and to really educate able-bodied people on what disability is.
According to the Office of Disability Services, around 10% of the student population has a disability. Most are invisible. Beyond academic help, students have found peer support beneficial when they enter and navigate college life.
Disability is your day job, and then being a student is your side hustle.
This year, the program became an officially registered club with a UM Senate seat. Anyone can join the club to offer support, raise awareness, and build a sense of community for students with disabilities.
Oftentimes, when a student has a disability and they get into any college, they had a support network at home that was built around them by a parent, a guidance counselor, or a team in their high school. And through those support services, an individual really thrived. And that's what led them to achieve at a level that they got into the University of Miami. And then what happens is the student comes to the university and that support network is left back at home.
Disability is an umbrella term. A disability can be physical, mental, cognitive, or invisible. Each student's experience varies, however, they all face one common struggle: adapting to the culture of campus.
I joined the club because I thought it was a really good organization and it's doing honestly excellent things. I think disability needs to be talked about a lot on this campus, not only from the teacher perspective, but from the student perspective, because people with disabilities need a support system.
Students with invisible disabilities struggle to identify with peers and faculty. Seeking assistance creates many challenges. Visible disabilities are recognized due to their physical presentation, whereas conditions like ADHD, chronic illness, and mental health issues are more challenging to identify.
It's also referred to as a hidden disability as well, because a lot of people with chronic illnesses, they tend to not disclose the fact that they are disabled because they have been, stigmatized, or they've been diminished when it comes to their health, because if it's better managed, it's much easier.
For all students, inclusion in the classroom makes a large difference. Having resources that push advocacy increases inclusion on university campuses.
But when you're a disabled student, having someone in your corner, especially on campus, when you are a new student or when you are facing different challenges that not everybody faces, it makes a very big difference.
Reporting for UMTV, I'm Maddie Mikan.
Coming up, National Week of Service was this past weekend, and the Butler Center for Leadership and Service made sure not to waste a day. We will bring you more on this story after a short break.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut, the one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink, or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking, now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed, better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead, catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Many families who move to the U.S. usually have a hard time trying to access medical care because of the lack of health insurance. But there is one UHealth mobile clinic that goes around Miami-Dade County to fix that. The UHealth Pediatric Mobile Clinic is a medical program that was created in 1992 in the aftermath of Hurricane Andrew. And every year since then, the mobile clinic has been giving free medical care to about 3,500 uninsured children under the age of 21.
It was hard for kids to access healthcare. And so what started as a disaster relief type of program turned into a comprehensive program that continued to provide healthcare to vulnerable children.
Some of the free services offered by the UHealth Pediatric Mobile Clinic include wellness visits, sports physicals, mental health, immunizations, and health screenings.
Not every program at the University of Miami expects you to take what you learned in your classes and in the real-world practice. But one major at Frost School of Music makes part of the curriculum in order to graduate. Caleb Chapman explains.
Originally used to help heal the non-physical wounds of soldiers returning from war, music therapy is now a career route, and the University of Miami has a program. So what is music therapy and how does it work?
The easiest way to explain it is think of your traditional therapies, physical, occupational, speech, language therapy. The only difference is that you're using music as that element, as a force that's bringing the changes about in behavior.
Music therapy takes the sounds that affect the brain and then uses those sounds to work the brain to a person's advantage.
And then we know, okay, if music is involved with these same areas of the brain, we can use music to exercise those areas of the brain.
The benefits are far and wide.
Whether that might be attention, memory, learning, speech, language, movement, emotions.
For students majoring in music therapy, in order to graduate, they must spend at least 5 semesters out in the real world doing clinical work.
They are the sole music therapist at a site working with a specific group of individuals, whether it be adolescents in a psychiatric unit or whether it be children that were born failure to thrive or drug exposed, very small infants, as well as adults in neuro rehab at Lynn Rehab, part of UHealth system.
One student majoring in music therapy, Adriana Novello, recognizes the challenge but also the opportunity of getting that real world experience.
I've seen the way that I'll enter a room and the energy is so low to the point where you could see the person is struggling to stay awake or move their body. And sometimes all we'll do is simply strum some chords on the guitar, do some humming together, and it genuinely feels like there are new colors in the room when we leave.
One student at the WOW Center, where Adriana currently works as part of the program, rarely spoke, but through music therapy had a breakthrough moment.
But yesterday I was playing Rockin' Robin on the guitar, and he started singing the lyrics completely intelligibly. And I was trying not to let it ruin my guitar playing so he could keep singing, but I was having a really emotional response.
Adriana holds another story near and dear to her heart because it was the moment she realized her music was making an impact.
I worked with a client who was having a really hard time, and we played a bunch of Disney princess songs together. And at the end, she started crying and saying, for the first time in her life, she felt like a princess.
Another student at the WOW Center credits music therapy for her ability to speak better.
I kind of sing to the music because it kind of helps me to get the words out.
She went from struggling to speak to now talking to politicians on behalf of her group. She takes pride in her role.
I'm the voice of the people.
So what is it that makes music therapy such an effective form of therapy? That it can help all kinds of people in all stages of life? Well, as Adriana learned from the boy who sang Rockin' Robin,
Sometimes that's all it takes is just like waiting a little bit and finding the right, almost like a prescription, like a doctor, finding the right medication for you. Like in the same way, sometimes we just have to find the right tools to help the people that we're working with as music therapists.
after graduation, many of the UM music therapists choose to stay in Miami and continue to make a difference in the local community and brighten people's days with the sound of music for the rest of their careers. For UMTV, I'm Caleb Chapman.
And music therapy is just one way that the University of Miami makes an impact on the community. Maddie Bisalik is here in studio to tell us about another organization that helps students make a difference on and off campus. Maddie?
The Butler Center for Leadership and Service is the spot on campus to get involved with organizations and dip your foot into community service. April 15th to April 21st was National Week of Service, and I had a chance to experience it firsthand. The University of Miami is not only an established institution that focuses on education, but a place that strives to value leadership and service as well. Although no volunteer hours are required of students to graduate, many feel so passionate about helping the community that there's a dedicated organization on campus dedicated to the cause. It is known as the Butler Center for Service and Leadership, and their mission is this.
So we want to connect students to be catalysts for positive change. So through leadership and with service, we give students to show how powerful their actions can be, right? Taking a couple hours to volunteer can mean the world, make someone's day, week, month, or year.
Although it did not gain its current name until 2006, the original organization called Summon, which stands for Students at the University of Miami Move on Need, has been helping students make a difference in our community since 1965. One of the Butler Center's biggest events is the National Week of Service that takes place during the third week of April every year. This year, there were multiple events, including a volunteer fair, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich making for the homeless event, and a beach cleanup. These events were put together by students and kicked off with the volunteer fair on April 17th. The volunteer fair had many partners from the local community to share how students could get involved. One organization is Accent Care, who had a clear goal in mind.
So we really wanted to connect with the Butler Center just because we know that volunteers are really needed within our organization, and we felt like the students here at University of Miami can really be connected and just have a human connection with our patients.
Another organization that attended the volunteer fair is Repair the World, whose mission is to reach community needs as they vary by location. Without the Butler Center, both students and local organizations could miss the opportunity to become involved in life-changing experiences, because even something that seems small can have a big impact.
The Butler Center is one of our partners with Repair the World. Often we have done alternative spring breaks with them. We are always involved in their volunteer fair. It's an incredible partnership. We're really grateful to the Butler Center.
Along with alternative breaks and the volunteer fair, Repair the World Miami also helped coordinate the beach cleanup at Black Point Marina that concluded the National Week of Service. These small acts with a big impact helped inspire another event of National Volunteer Week, where over 30 students spent their Saturday morning making sandwiches for the homeless.
When I originally started this role, it was more based on sending newsletters, and I wanted to kind of have a more direct involvement on campus. So then that's why we have here the annual PB&J event that we started last year. That's been a great success for us since.
With over 300 sandwiches made, this handful of students are helping make an even bigger impact than they could have imagined. But even bigger than the impact these students have on the Miami community is the impression the Butler Center leaves on the students.
So it's been definitely one of the main reasons why I've been able to find service opportunities on and off campus. I feel like without having the Butler Center here, it would have definitely been a little bit more difficult for me to be more aware of service opportunities.
I think it's the fact that I know that I have a family outside of my own. Coming here, coming from out of state to a new environment has been kind of a hard transition, but the Butler Center has made me feel very much homey.
In the past semester alone, students logged more than 2,800 service hours. The Butler Center shapes college experiences and our community for the better. With over 30 service partners under the umbrella of the Butler Center and multiple leadership programs, there are plenty of ways for students to get involved and give back to the community.
I feel like in order to learn the community, you need to be in the community. So I feel like that helps a lot. And also, we have so many leadership development programs, not just like Impact, that's just one, but there's just so many for like all year levels. I just feel like it's just a great opportunity for anyone to just grow as a person.
If you're interested in learning more about the Butler Center, you can visit its office on the second floor of the Shalala Student Center or go to its website, serveandlead.studentaffairs.miami.edu. For UMTV, I'm Maddie Basalik.
Thank you, Maddie. In the U.S., there are currently over 1 million people living with either HIV or AIDS. And right here in Miami, the disease is especially prevalent with the second highest rate of HIV diagnosis in the country. The Center for HIV and Research in the Mental Health at the University of Miami, or CHARM, was founded back in 2016. Its mission is focused on reducing the mental health and minority health disparities across HIV prevention in Miami. And now, right here in one of the most culturally diverse cities in America, the problem is being met with a broad solution.
So we don't have, let's say, a specific project. What we're trying to do is build an infrastructure so that we can have more investigators, more faculty, more community engagement doing this kind of work here in Miami.
CHARM is one of just 6 centers in the entire country which works on specifically addressing mental health in relation to HIV and AIDS epidemic. Activities such as community engagement and focused research are some of their next steps to help fight the disease.
In a couple of moments, we'll find out just how UM is guiding students to live greener lives. More when we return. Don't go anywhere.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are in the right seats for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Many organizations at the University of Miami are making an impact helping not only the Miami community, but also other countries. Belen Duran has all the details and joins us now with more. Belen?
I spoke with some members of FEC, otherwise known as the Federación de Estudiantes Cubanos, and other University of Miami organizations to learn how they're helping the community.
From sending money to Gaza for people in need, to hosting camps for kids affected by cancer. This is the impact that some of the organizations at the University of Miami are making.
Always have a service component attached to Week of Cuban Culture, and so we'll give back to an organization or a community part of the Miami-Dade County area.
You know, making care packages or what have you in order to help some people in the Miami community. So most recently this year, we worked with Camp Casem, making care bags for students that come to camp in the summer.
Camp Casem helps kids who have family members affected by cancer by doing fundraisings and hosting a camp during the summer.
The Arab Students Union is a University of Miami student organization. Throughout this semester, we've been tabling on a weekly or every other week in the Center Breezeway over there. And we're fundraising for Palestine Children's Relief Fund to help relieve the humanitarian crisis over there.
This organization takes donations to buy food and medical supplies that then they shipped into Gaza.
Arab Student Union and Federación de Estudiantes Cubanos are just some of the organizations here at the University of Miami that are making an impact helping other communities outside UM.
It was obviously a collaboration between FEC, but also CASM at the University of Miami.
Camp Casem is a space where the kids get to play, be loved, and understood from the challenges that come with cancer that they might be facing.
I joined Camp Casem when I was 9 years old, so back in 2012, I want to say, 2013. And I started going there because my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer.
For anyone, especially someone that young, it's so much to take on, and they really, in my mind, it's really our goal to make sure that no child ever has to go through a caregiver's cancer alone. So that's why we want to provide that.
The next year at camp, it became a little bit more meaningful. My mom passed away between that summer and the next. If I didn't have that when I was that age, when like my mom passed away, like I don't know like if I'd be half the person I am today. So I cry every time, but it truly is like one of the reasons that I like still am like here and like smiling. So it's like the best thing in the world.
If you're interested in learning more or getting involved with these organizations, please visit las.as.miami.edu. For UMTV, I'm Belen Duran.
Thank you, Belen. College athletes are some of the most prominent figures on campus, and often they reach full-blown celebrity status. And while they might be celebrities in Coral Gables, many UM athletes are also important figures in the community. For years, the athletic department here at the U has played a key role in connecting Miami Hurricane athletes with the Miami community. And in 2023, it all paid off when it was announced that Miami finished second in the entire nation in the annual NCAA Community Service Challenge.
What we have here at the U makes that even more special because there's so many people who share that passion and just want it.
Miami had 100% of its student athletes participate in at least one form of community service in 2023. The Hurricanes program includes community building opportunities through programs like the Pen Pal program, matching athletes with elementary students across the state of Florida, and Dream On 3, which is a nonprofit organization that helps children with life-altering conditions make their sports dreams come true.
April is the month to be mindful of ways we can help the earth. And as Sabrina Catalan shows us, sustainability at the U is featured in many events this month.
Before students graduate, the Sustainability Department at the University of Miami wants Canes to embrace going green. On the Coral Gables campus, there are many ways to engage with initiatives that help protect our planet. A simple way is to start recycling. UM's campus has a recycling bin in every building to make the process more accessible. Nearly 20% of UM's waste, which was 3,483 tons last year, is diverted from landfills through recycling, according to UM's Office of Sustainability.
We want you to, whenever you walk up to dispose of something, have to make that choice about, are you going to send this to the landfill or are you going to recycle this?
And some of UM's waste that cannot be recycled is diverted by composting food scraps in the dining halls. The university has partnered with an organization called Compost for Life, which collects food scraps from the Miami-Dade and Broward counties and turns them into compost at their organic farm in Homestead.
We have like more than 400 families committed with the compost community. Definitely not enough. Definitely not enough for what we have in Miami.
Next time you're in the kitchen, think of saving your food and vegetable food scraps. They can be used to make compost and grow more delicious food in the future. Other initiatives to get UM students to think green are offered at the Campus Weekly Tabling event, hosted by the student government subgroup Eco Agency.
With water bottles, for example. Oh, I remember when I was an undergraduate, I just had these reusable water bottles. Let me bring that practice over to where I'm living now. So that's the goal.
This initiative seems to be working as many UM students are seen walking around with reusable water bottles. The Gifford Arboretum on campus is another way to teach students about the importance of preserving the environment. It is run by the biology department and is a collection of important flora filled with butterflies, birds, and bees, all of which help pollinate trees and plants. Here, students have a chance to set examples for the community, such as the mangrove planting event along one of the university's canals that flows into Key Biscayne.
Yeah, I think it's just a great way to get involved and benefit our campus and the community. Like this area itself is not utilized, but the sidewalk and the bridge right over there are used by students like pretty much on the daily. So it'll also make it look a lot nicer when the mangroves kind of grow in a lot.
Mangroves are very important because they help clean the water, host fish and other animals, and bring biodiversity to the area.
When Ian hit on the west coast, they estimated that the storm surge, if the mangroves weren't there, would have reached the center of our state, and the salt water would have penetrated the Everglades.
Salt water in the Everglades would break down the peat, which is the surface layer of soil made of decomposed organic matter. This would release more carbon into the air and accelerate climate change. The Sustainability Department at UM is conscious of its environment and hopes to continue to collaborate with the community to create a biodiverse future for generations to come. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Sabrina Catalan.
As you can see, the University of Miami has a lot of different initiatives that help the South Florida community.
And as we get ready to celebrate the centennial, we hope it continues to do so for generations to come.
Thank you for joining us here on UMTV News.
Have a great night.